So this is part 2 of the Nigerian Tax Act 2025, Dissecting NT 2025 for clearer understanding. So we have brought you part 1 and this is part 2. So in the part 1, we brought you the table of contents, all those things that you need to have understanding on the Nigerian Tax Act. That is the part 1 of it. And then we gave you introduction of the Nigerian Tax Act, then the conceptual framework of taxation. That was where we stopped in the first video. So today we are bringing you part 2 of the Nigerian Tax Act, dissecting the Nigerian Tax Act 2025 for clearer understanding. So we're sharing the screen with you. We'll be sharing the screen with you. So we started from here, this table of contents. We walk you through to introduction to conceptual framework. So today we'll continue from where we stopped, still on the conceptual framework, the continuation. So we said the payment of tax in Nigeria is backed up by section 25, section F, subsection F of the 1999 Constitution. That is where the payment of tax is backed up from. It is a law, so it is derived from the 1999 Constitution. It provides that it shall be the duty of every citizen to declare his income honestly to appropriate and lawful agency and pay his tax promptly. So it is a law. It is compulsory. You must pay tax. But we are calling on government to use the tax for infrastructure, for the benefit of citizens, to put road, good school, education, the economy in shape so that life can be meaningful to all Nigeria. You know, many Nigerians are doing japa here, japa there, but it's not all of us that will still japa eventually. Some of us will still be in Nigeria. So if government can use all this revenue, all these tax revenue to put things in order, maybe the rate of japa it's not even maybe, it will definitely reduce. So government, please help us to put good road in place, put the education in order, hospital, security in place, and many good things that will make life better for Nigerian citizens. So section 44, subsection 2 of the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, is also the basis for taxation in Nigeria. It is a law, right? So it is compulsory. The provision of the law implies that the compulsory imposition of taxes on citizens does not amount to an infringement of their right to own property, but a necessary exercise of government powers. So paying tax does not mean that, okay, because the law says that you should not, you can own anything you want to own, provided that it's a legitimate, money, the money that you earn legitimately. You can own anything in any part of the country, but there are some, taxes that you pay on all those things which you need to be aware of, but it must not be an infringement on anybody's right. The section provides us that nothing in subsection I of this section shall be construed as affecting any general law for the imposition and enforcement of any taxes, rates, and duties. So while the government have the power to impose taxes, the citizens also have the right to own their own property in any part of the country that they are as a citizen of the country. Then the continuation of the conceptual framework of the Nigerian Tax Act. Of course, we are quoting this scholar, Dr. Kennedy Nwundu. Is a scholar. He's a respected person in taxation in Nigeria, right? He's a fellow. He's a fellow of the Shadow Institute of Taxation and all of that. So he's a respected person. it says that there is a quadruped or quadript of taxation, which are the tax policies. That's four: tax policy, the legislation, the administration, and jurisprudence. So we have four parts of the taxations: the policies, the legislation, the administration, and the jurisprudence. So we will be looking at it in this part two of this Nigerian Tax Act video. So the tax policy, what does it mean? Tax policies are guidelines and principles established by the government for imposing and collecting taxes, while the tax legislation is the tax laws or revenues laws, which are acts of the parliament. Do you get that now? The tax policies are guidelines and principles that the government established to impose and collect taxes. The legislations are laws, revenues law, tax laws, which are the acts of the parliament. That's the House of Assemblies, the National Assemblies, both the NAS, the upper chamber and the lower chamber, right? We call them NAS. So they are the one that brings law in place. Then we have tax administration, which involve implementation of tax legislation through collection of taxes, enforcement, and among others. So these people are like the Federal Inland Revenue Service, the State Inland Revenue Service, and the local governments, all those tax people. So they are the one that implement all those legislation and collect tax. They will go, you will see FIRS, they will tell you, okay, you have this tax audit, you have this tax liability, the state government, whatever state, either Lagos or Rivers, any state, Rivers, any state in Nigeria, they will give you a letter that you are meant to pay this tax. They will send you email, they will send you, different message, right, to enforce that law. The tax jurisprudence involves the interpretation of tax laws by the courts. So we have tax tribunal, we have tax courts, right? So they are the one that interprets the tax laws, right? And they are the courts. So those are the four quadrupled that Dr. Kennedy is trying to make us to understand, which is the foundation of the tax on the knowledge and understanding it. Then we have tax policy, tax legislation, tax administration, tax jurisprudence. They are connected in one way or the other. So the Tax Reforms Act capture the tax legislation, the tax administration, and tax jurisprudence. That's tax legislation 1, tax administration 2, and tax jurisprudence. That's three of them, right? Of course, the tax policy in one way or the other too are embedded. Then the Nigerian Tax Act captured tax legislation which is aimed at consolidating Nigerian fragmented tax laws into an harmonized statute. So all those scattered tax laws here and there, double taxation here and there, many tax laws here and there. So it's bringing them as one fragmented tax laws. So it's harmonizing them as one statute, one law. The Nigerian Tax Administration Act and the Nigerian Revenue Service Act establishment capture the tax administration and practice by establishing a uniform operational framework for tax administration, administrative across the federal, the state, and the local government, and collection of tax and non-tax revenue. So you can see the administration is talking about the Nigerian Revenue Service, which will now be the one collecting all federal taxes, federal government taxes. So they will be the one in charge, while the state will be the one in charge of their taxes, and the local government is in charge of their taxes. Before, it is not only the FIRS, which will now be called NIRS next year, that is collecting the federal government tax. Nigerian Custom also do, But from next year, it's only Nigerian Revenue Service, which is currently FIRS, that will be collecting all federal government taxes. So making the administrative of tax collection very, very efficient. Then we have the Joint Revenue Board established at Capture the Tax Jurisprudence, where we have the Tax Appeal Tribunal and the Office of the Tax Ombudsman. This tax ombudsman has actually been appointed. He has been appointed. So they will now be the one like the tax jurisprudence, the tax appeal tribunal, the tax, trying to interpret all the tax laws for us. So that is the Joint Tax Board. Then where tax laws will be interpreted and tax disputes will be solved, exactly like I said. So that is where this tax jurisprudence now comes in form of the Tax Appeal Tribunal and the Office of the Tax Ombudsman, which have been appointed. So we'll be stopping here today. The Quadruped of Taxation by Dr. Kennedy Undu. So this man is a scholar and a guru in the field of taxation. So he's giving us this breakdown, and he was able to summarize the Nigerian Tax Act, which we are trying to give you now to educate all taxpayers. So the tax policies, you can see the graphical representation of it. So the tax policy is talking about guides and principles established by government for implementation and collection of tax. The tax legislation is a body of tax laws, rules, and procedure to assess and collect taxes. Then we have tax jurisprudence, interpretation of tax legislation, the tax administration or implementation of tax. Jurisprudence interprets if the implementation of tax law is in line with the spirit of tax law or not. That is what they do. Then the tax administration, the implementation of tax law, which involves registration, assessment, returns, collection, compliance, enforcement, sanctions, taxpayers' education, investigation, among others. So that is where we'll be ending the part 2 of the Nigerian Tax Act 2025, dissecting it for clearer understanding to all businesses, entrepreneurs, taxpayers, and all our potential clients. So until we meet in another video, stay compliant and have a good day. Bye.